Well, welcome to Math Expressions, Grade 6, Volume 1. Today is our first lesson, Unit 1. We will be covering Lessons 1 and 2, and Unit 1 will cover rates, ratios, and proportions. So if you have your black notebook out in front of you, I'd appreciate it if you put today's date, 9/12, and then put Unit 1, rates, ratios, and proportions. We will begin on page 5. So please add things when I ask you to add them and take notes when it's time to take notes. So what we're looking at here in Lesson 1 is factor puzzles and multiplication tables. For the most part, if you look at these multiplication tables, hopefully nothing jumps out at you at being really any different than a typical multiplication table. But if you look for patterns, you can see they have patterns with different colors here going down in columns as well as in rows. So take a look at that, but as you move on down, we have our first definition that I would like you to copy in your notebook at this time, and that definition is factor. One of two or more number multiples to make a product. Example, 12 times 4 equals 48. Now you notice that the 12 and the 4 are considered the factors in that particular multiplication problem. I also want to draw your attention that you'll see right here that they're using actually a dot to represent multiplication. So don't be thrown off if you see that in the future. So copy that definition down, and then I'm going to scroll down a little bit further, and then you have the definition for product. The product, the result of a multiplication problem. So in this example here, and I do want you to copy the definition and the example, 12 times 4 equals 48. 48 would be considered your product, where 12 and 4 were your factors. So, how do we solve factor puzzles? If you look on the left here, this is problem number 1. What I want you to put in your black notebook would be the problem over here that I've circled, number 1, and here we have our first factor puzzle. What we are looking at are for two factors that when multiplied together would equal 6. Now, this factor over here on the left also will then have to work with the 10 as well. So as you're looking at this, the missing products and the missing factors to complete your first factor puzzle. So again, make the 4 little boxes there. So we have factors of 6. We have 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. So let's add on the left over here a 2. 2 times what number is 6? And you should be putting 3. Now, when you do that, you need to bring over the 2, and then you will also need to bring down the 3. Now, to complete this factor puzzle, 2 times what number equals 10? 2 times 5. Bring the 5 down. And now, we're not quite done. We still need to figure out the 21, and then we have the variable n. Again, variable is a letter that represents a number. 21 divided by 3 is 7. 7 times 5 is 35. So, in your factor puzzle that you did in your notebook, you should place the 2 here, the 2 there, 7 there, 7 there, the 3 and the 5, the 3 and the 5, and the 35. 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 5 is 10, 3 times 7 is 21. 7 times 5, or 7 times 5 is 35. And you've completed your first factor. All right, so let's move on to another problem. Page 6, same type of problem. Just going to move this out of the way a little bit. Number 2, make your factor puzzle 21, 16 and blank. Over on the left again, you have to find the missing factors and the missing products. 6, 21, 16, and n. So let's add a 3 and a 2. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times what number is 21? 7. Don't forget to bring your 3 over, and your 2 down, and your 7 down. Oops, sorry about that. 16 divided by 2 would be 8. 8 times 7 would be 56. So over here you have 3 and 3, 2 and 2, 8 and 8, 7, 7, and your missing product would be 56. And you completed your second factor puzzle. Let's look at one more example. I believe this is, table 5. This is problem number 3. It looks like it's cut off over there. So here's our factor puzzle. We have 6, 15, and 35. To get 6 as a product, we would need 1 and 6, or 2 or 3, and we go with the 2 and the 3. Bring your 2 over, bring your 3 down, and then 15 divided by 3 would give you the 5. Bring it over. 5 times what number would give you 35, and it's 7. Bring your 7 up, and 7 times 2 is your missing square, which is 14. Make sure you copy problem 3 down in your notebook. What we are looking at here would be your homework for tomorrow night, or Tuesday night in this case, or Tuesday during the school day. We have problem number 1, where you have to complete the multiplication table. Then down below it's scrambled, which becomes a little bit more challenging. For example, 4 times what number is 36? You'd have to add like a 9 here, and then figure out the rest of the puzzle. And then down here with number 3, this is where it really, I'm going to be looking for a really good answer, where it says, describe your strategy for filling in the top row of the scrambled multiplication table. Your remembering page, and there will always be your homework page and remembering page that you'll be working on in school, is a mixture of multiplication and division. 42 divided by 6, hopefully not a problem. Remember here, this is a multiplication symbol. 9 times 4 is 36. 63 over 7 as a fraction, or 63 divided by 7, which would be 9. So that's how you would complete. Down below with 16, 17, 18, and 19, and 20, it wants you to write the equation as well as the answer. The equation as well as the answer. So let's look at number 16. It says the town planted 3 new trees in the park. Now there are 27 trees. How many trees were there before the new trees were planted? So writing the equation, you have really 2 different ways. The town planted 3 new trees in the park. Now there are 27. How many trees were there before the new trees were planted? Well, let n be our variable. We planted 3 new trees, and it equals 27. Or we start out with 27, we take away, we say 27 minus 3 equals n. Answer n would have to be 24. So you need to write the equation and then solve it for 17, 18, and 19, and 20, just like I did for number 16. That completes lesson 1. Let's take a look at lesson 2. Lesson 2 begins on page 7, and it again is a continuation of our factor puzzle. So let's take a look. I'd like you to draw a line right there in your notebook after your last couple examples for lesson 1, and then write unit 1, lesson 2, page 7. Okay, and then let's work a few problems. Here's problem number 1. Copy your factor puzzle, and we have 20, 15, and 8 as our products, and we need to figure out our factors. So take a look at number 1, write it down in your notebook, and solve it. All right, so when we're looking at this, again, we have 20 there, and 1 times 20 is 20, 10 times 2 is 20, and 5 times 4 is 20. But then you also got to look at 15, and the factors of 15 are 1 times 15 and 3 times 5, and you need to find a common factor between 20 and 15. So if you were to look at 1 and 20, that's not going to work because it's 1 and 15. 10 and 2, 2 is not a factor of 15, and neither is 10. So you're down to 5 and 4. 5 goes into 15. 5 goes into 20. So let's write in 5 and 4. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 3 is 15. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. And there's your factor puzzle. Let's do another one. Let's look at number 3. So make your factor puzzle. 28 product, 24 product, 32 product. And then you're looking at the 24 and the 32, and you're saying, what are the factors of 24? What are the factors of 32? A common factor is what you're looking for. All right, hopefully you've had a chance to work on it. 24, 32, lots of factors for both. 1, 2, 3, 4 for 24. I'm looking for a common factor. Hopefully you came up with 8. 8 times what number is 24? It would be 3. 8 across. 32 divided by 8 is 4. Remember to bring it up. Bring it up. 28. 4 times what number is 28? 7. Bring it over. 3 times 7 is 21. And you have your factor puzzle for number 3 solved. Make sure you get both of them copied in your notebook. All right, what I would like you to do here on page, I think it's page 8, is your job is to make a couple of factor puzzles to exchange with a classmate in class on Friday or Monday, depending on when we get to it. So let's take a look at number 16. Again, it will vary, but I'm just going to give you an example. So I'm going to go with 20 and 15. 20, 15, 8. 20 and 15, what do they have in common? 1 times 20 2 times 10, 4 times 5. 15, we have 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. So hopefully you would say they have a 5 in common. 5 times 20, oh excuse me, 5 times 4 equals 20. 5 times 3 equals 15. And then remember to bring everything down and over, down and over. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So 2 times 3 is 6. So again, if this was a problem that I was going to be giving one of my classmates, you would write the problem as 20, 15, and 8 and let them solve it. So I'd like you to come up with at least 3 of them on your own to share. So your homework assignment that we're looking at here that you would be doing in class, 1, 2 homework, again, it's you're solving factor puzzles. So there are 12 problems on this page, and then there's 13 described strategies for solving a factor puzzle. So again, look at the 12, look at the 15. What factor do they have in common? Greatest common factor. Hopefully you recognize it to be 3. 3 times 4. 3 times 5. Bring them down. Bring them down. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 2 times 5 is 10. And so on. And the remembering page is more of the same as well. And problem number 1, multiply or divide. Blank equals 9 times 7. 63. Oops. The dot stands for multiplication. 16, that's divided by 4. So your answer would be 4. 16 over 4 equals 4. Down below for 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, they again want you to write out your equation. And let's look at number 16. Vincent had 120 baseball cards, then he bought some more. Now he has 160. How many cards did Vincent buy? So, if you're going to write the equation, you have 120 baseball cards. Then he bought some more. It's a variable. He ended up with 160. Now he has 160 cards. How many cards did he buy? It would be one way of representing that equation. 160 minus 120 is 40. So he bought 40 new cards. Now you could also look at it as 160 minus 120 equals n. Okay? That completes lessons 1 and 2 of Unit 1. Again, we will work on the homework side of it in school. Again, do a good job with your note-taking in your black notebook, and we will, if you have any further questions, or if you have questions, tomorrow in class will be a great time to ask me.